So once again, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this very special and exclusive webinar. And all of us are talking a lot of AI, and we know that as AI is moving rapidly from pilots to from pilots to experimentation to enterprise-wide adoption, the conversation is no longer just about can AI do it. It's now about how organizations can scale it responsibly, align it with business priorities, and create measurable value. So today's discussion is going to explore how different sectors are approaching AI adoption, what it takes to move beyond successful pilots, and how leaders can build the right talent, operating models, governance, and change capabilities to make AI a true business enabler. Right, so I'm delighted to have with us today our esteemed guests. So please join me in welcoming Paresh Shah. He's the Chief Innovation Officer at Allied Digital Services. We have with us Richa Jain. She's the Associate Vice President at Citiustech Healthcare. Joining us today is also Swapnil Tripathi. He's the co-founder and Chief Revenue Officer at V360 AI. And moderating the discussion for us today is Rishikesh Nandedkar. He's the Managing Director of Fusion Global Business Solutions, India. Thank you all the speakers for joining us today. And with this, I'd like to hand this over to Rishi to moderate today's discussion. So over to you, Rishi.
Thank you, Avanti. And looking forward to the discussion with everyone. As you rightly said, artificial intelligence is probably the most talked about thing in the business today. Every company is talking about it. Every leadership team has a mandate about it. And hence we are seeing a huge amount of pilots, POCs, experimentation, and so on. And this is where one of my favorite laws of technology, Amara's law, comes particularly relevant, because the law actually says that we overestimate the impact of technology in the short term, but at the same time, we underestimate the impact of technology in the longer run. And if you think about AI today, that's exactly where we are right now, mainly because the experimentation is relatively easy. It is relatively straightforward. You see use cases, you do, and you show what technology can do. But transforming the whole enterprise or taking it across the enterprise, that's completely different ballgame. It requires, as Avanti mentioned, it requires security, it requires governance, it requires you to rethink the whole operating models at times. And that's why I'm particularly interested about the discussion today. We have three incredible leaders from three very different industries: BFSI, health tech, and employee productivity. And we will be going and talking about all these three different industries step by step and trying to understand, and let's explore how do we take things AI from pilot and experimentations and POCs to actually enterprise-wide transformation with measurable outcomes, as Avanti mentioned. So if I could get started with yourself, Richa, and let's talk about health tech to start with. So if I look into health tech, where exactly are you seeing AI moving beyond pilots to real production environments? And what has been the trigger, especially in the health tech area, for adoption of those specific use cases?
Yeah, thanks, Rishikesh. That's really a great question. And honestly, it is the question that separates organizations that are actually moving to production and scaling versus those are still stuck in endless pilots or experiments. So when people ask where healthcare is moving into production, the answer is everywhere, except maybe in clinical decisions making itself, but that's not a limitation. Healthcare rightfully moves cautiously there as well. But operationally and administratively, AI is embedded at a scale across the industry right now. So let me give you some examples. Those are really close to my heart because I got opportunity to work on those kind of implementations and saw them going live into production and expanding to scale.
Right.
So one of the example is clinical documentation. Okay. Here is one that surprised me. The clinicians actually spend 20 to 30% or maybe sometime more than that of their time writing clinical notes. It's very administrative in nature, but it's necessary. But it drives them crazy. Okay, so some health system deployed AI that listens to the patient encounters and generates the note. Clinicians review and edit. The result is really amazing. We could see a 30 to 40% time saving per doctor or per clinician. There are some examples where they are actually running this. So, for example, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic are already running this into their production and are expanding and scaling. And to the surprise, I would not say surprise, like major health systems have this embedded. Example, Epic and Cerner offer it as a standard now. This is production, this is a scaling, and this is going towards entrepreneurship. And here is the surprising part. When we deployed this solution to our client, we found out documentation quality actually improves because AI doesn't miss the details that could have been missed by when somebody is taking the notes manually. So this was one example. Let me give you another example of revenue cycle management, which is probably the most sophisticated use case because it spans across the entire workflow. So what I'm talking about AI that can actually read clinical documentation and recommends billable services. AI that can analyze claim patterns and flags likely denials before submission. AI that intelligently routes denial responses, and AI that can track aging claims in real time. Organizations running multi-stage orchestrated AI across their entire RCM workflow are recovering at least 2 to 5% of previously lost revenue. So for a $1 million health system, the 2 to 5% comes around 20 to 50 million annually, and that's huge. So this is how we are seeing the actual output or the business outcome coming when it comes to revenue cycle management. And imagine now the organization can't imagine operating without that AI. So one classic example when we are talking about revenue cycle management is prior authorization. Prior authorization approval generally takes a week, 5 to 7 days a week, as we all know.
Right.
That's the baseline. Healthcare organization will have to submit the request to payer. Payer will process them manually. Clinicians will wait. Sometimes patients may delay treatment, and it's a very, I would say, a pain area when it comes to patient treatment and how the entire RCM or this authorization is maintained manually. Now, some organization which like Citiustech also help them deployed AI that can submit the request, track status in real time, escalates delay, resubmit if rejected, completely automated. Okay, so this reminds me, something interesting. I had a health system executive tell me, this isn't it interesting anymore. This is how we operate now.
Right.
If we shut this off, we would have chaos. And that's production, that's a scaling. I would say that major health systems are running more than 50% of routine prior authorization through AI now. So other examples I could, keep on giving, like diagnostic imaging, risk stratification, or patient engagement, where we have seen the AI is actually in production, AI is actually scaling.
Right.
There is something common about all these use cases, which I would like to take few more minutes and talk about. If you look across all these examples, RCM, prior authorization, documentation, imaging, or risk stratification, you will notice a pattern. Number one, this all involves high volume pattern-based work.
Right.
Prior auth criteria are published, drug interactions are known, claim codes are identified, or AI learns the rules and applies them. Number two, there is a clear ROI. Every example that I have given has a dollar sign attached. Time is saved, errors are prevented, revenues are recovered, and healthcare understand this math now. Okay.
Okay.
And number three, I will say, and more importantly, is team is adopting it. We have seen more of team adoption than resistance nowadays. Clinicians actually want AI to handle documentation because it frees them for patient care, and that's the key. Team embrace it when it is a multiplier and it's not a threat.
Absolutely, absolutely, because that is such a key part of the overall adoption,
Yes.
right? Thank you for those perspectives, and we will get back to health tech in a bit. But thank you, Richa, for that. And moving on to yourself, Paresh, for the BFSI side of the story. So again, AI has moved well beyond things like chatbots and into banking and financial institutions go through underwriting, fraud detection, risk assessment, and some personalized financial services. So from your perspective, which of these use cases are scaling the fastest, and what has again enabled that shift from experimentation into production?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. And if I look at, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. So fraud detection, fraud analytics, we should say, was there about a few years back, right? But now it has
Right.
developed into a full-fledged fraud detection. So that's one of the area which is very, very, very common, whether you talk about insurance in the BFSI industry, and that is fastest adoption that I see. Okay. Same thing with risk monitoring, whether it's credit risk monitoring when you are purchasing loans or taking policies, underwriting. So that is the second aspect which is very active today. So I would say fastest one would be fraud detection, which has reshaped, transformed. I recollect about 10 years back, I was with Bank of Maharashtra. They were deploying SOC, and they were trying to build something on the fraud analytics specifically, where we had kind of did some consulting. But if you look at the fraud, fraud detection is way different 10 years back and now. Because
Absolutely.
today you are talking about scale, the transaction scale is so huge. Everybody does UPI payments, everybody, does credit card payments. The scale is huge. At the same time, you see that, there's a lot of volume in terms of digital infrastructure. So transactions are continuously increasing. And people want to make sure that there is a fast ROI. Every bank wants to make sure that they detect fraud, because fraud is a very big impact. When you're working on a really tight margins, every industry knows the value that the bank basically knows that one fraud can do what. So fraud detection is very much required, and it's a quickest ROI. If I talk about any bank CIO or CISO, they want to make sure. So I see that as a very much trending, and it will continue to grow. Even RBI is very much pro into making sure, it has given new agentic AI frameworks, a lot of things to actually build more and more strong fraud resilience. So in fact, so governance is also very key, making sure that fraud detection at the highest priority, whether it's banks or also for insurance companies. So I see that
Right.
for these regulated industries. Second thing, I feel that same thing with the risk monitoring. Again, credit score analysis, it requires a heavy workflows where you have to basically check many things for a person. Suppose you have to check KYCs, Aadhaar card, everything. So today with agentic AI, you can just span multiple workflows, multiple agents doing things, and you can get quick credit score. So if you look at a lot of thin borrowers which are just new, a lot of things are not known, and they want quick loan, okay, it becomes very important for them to get quick score analysis and whether they get eligible for that. So that real-time credit score monitoring, all this is a very pro for AI. You can do a lot of
Right.
real-time decision making. So that's a kind of another aspect. The third is I see very frequently is the customer operations, which we are very actively working with few of them like insurance companies, where apart from just doing policy servicing, which is rudimentary, they used to have bots, then became a little bit little bit one level down on knowledge aware bots. But today you can do a lot of activities. It will redirect you to do the premium payment, build relationship management, give you calls. So a lot of activities it can do. So I see that in the BFSI industry, the L1 jobs, if you say, are at serious stretch of removal. So because you see that as a lot of pressure, because those things are definitely AI is handling more and more, and I see they are adopting these two things very fast. So this is what I see, that the fast adoption. There are other areas also, actually core underwriting, where people are still doing things, but I won't say that not everybody is doing. But
Right.
yeah, they are putting up small agents to help speed up underwriting process, for example.
Right.
So yeah, so that's a kind of nutshell that fraud detection or risk management, and obviously customer facing operations. People have adopted very fast.
Right. And makes sense. And some of the other things that you mentioned are under experimentation and pilot zone right now, which will move into production at some point in future.
Yeah, as you know, BFSI industry has also challenges just like healthcare on regulatory, because they cannot do something more without covering the boundaries.
Right.
So they have to make sure that whatever they are doing is part of that, very much well assessed and well regulated. Okay.
Right. Absolutely. We'll come back to you, Paresh, in a bit, but
Sure.
thanks for that. And I'm assuming a lot of these use cases still, in some cases, especially the critical ones, have a human in the loop.
Yes, absolutely. And there are, I will talk about more things maybe in
when we
further
come back.
discussions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you talk about any private banks, any large banks, you name it, these 2-3 things have been pretty much there now.
Right.
More than just the bots, they are pretty active use of AI.
Right. Perfect. Okay. So Swapnil, I know you have been patiently waiting. So let's move on to the employee productivity. And so when essentially AI is introduced on the employee workflows, the challenge with every technology to a great extent is not just the technology, but the adoption, the behavior, and so on. So again, from your perspective, which productivity use cases are, in your experience, employees are actually adopting at scales? And what have you learned as, about designing AI workflows, rather than simply giving employees the AI tools?
Very pertinent question here. So first of all, I still feel that there is a myth that giving more licenses to all the employees means organization getting productive. So when I talk to leaders, because ideally we speak to founders, CEOs, CIOs. One thing which I see is that everybody is gung ho about that. Okay, in our entire development team, we have given so many licenses of Claude Code, and we very extensively use Copilot. But the next question which I ask is that, okay, how are you measuring the ROI part? Great that you have bought so many licenses, and what we have done is we have created something for the clients which is called AI adoption report, which kind of has given us a lot of insights. And the question which you are asking, and we clearly could see that which are use cases of implementing artificial intelligence in the organization. So still I would say the first and foremost use case is again the drafting and creating documents. So that is again one of the highest used processes, wherein people are kind of it can be writing a mail or instead of going through the entire trail mail, just getting the gist of from Google, and then drafting the document. So I think that is the use case which we see highest still. And another use case is that when it comes to right now, like say for instance, one organization we saw, they had a huge sales team, and what they used to do is they used to get the entire transcript of all the sales meetings, and they have kind of defined 8 to 10 benchmarks on which they used to evaluate the meeting. So now if they want to train their sales people, instead of going and looking at all the meetings, they used to get those transcript on those parameters which they have defined, and then decide that okay, out of 100 odd account managers, these are the 13 account managers whom they need to train because they are missing on certain very critical parameters. Now coming
Right.
to the design aspect, I think that is so again what we felt is that when you give this visibility to the organization, especially the visibility in terms of the workflows, when you give this visibility to the organizations that this is how the workflow is being done. So we showcase to our clients also that how the workflows are happening, and where are the frictions which could be removed. So sometimes what we have seen is that a person has to get context from one particular platform, then go to some other platform, copy paste everything entire, that get something. So instead of removing the friction, it becomes more unproductive. So that kind of workflow, we give this visibility. So the first phase is that we look at the frequency of any activity which is happening. Second is that we talk about the friction, and the third is obviously the feedback. So these 3 F's if we talk in terms of workflow, and we always say that AI has to be inside the entire workflow. It cannot be in silo. So if there are 10-15 steps in a workflow, which are 2-3 steps where AI is being implemented, and that is how the things are being more productive. So I
Right.
think that visibility, ROI part, I think these are the 2-3 things which are helping the organizations to make AI adoption more profitable for them.
Absolutely. Well said. And we see that in our space, which is enterprise service management as well, which it's exactly a very similar story where we don't proceed unless you can see a very clear ROIs and you can measure it, and then you can then take informed investment decisions on where you will get the biggest bang for your buck, as they say, while implementing AI across your enterprise. Right. Thanks for that, Swapnil. Back to you, Richa, and back to you on health tech side of things. You can and should forgive maybe people for having a little bit of a smart skepticism with all the news of AI escaping and so on. So I'm going to talk about a little bit how do we balance these things, right? In the health tech, how are the companies, organizations balancing, the potential of what AI can do? And it is quite real. It is, the potential of AI-led automations and decision support with the need for clinical validations, patient safety, data privacy, accountability, and so on. And where are other challenges that you see there from your perspective? Richa, you're on mute.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So Rishikesh, it's a very, very good question. And what we have learned after leading AI transformations in healthcare, that the biggest barrier to AI adoption isn't a technology, it's the human trust. So I would like to take this example to explain as from one of my past experience. Okay, so maybe it was a year ago, and I will never forget this moment when we were at one of our healthcare clients. Okay, it was a large, sophisticated health system presenting our AI solution to their RCM leadership. The room was full of like billing expert, compliance officers, clinical professionals, people who have spent actually two decades doing their work incredibly well.
Right.
Okay. So when we are presenting our AI transformation solution to them, one of the specialists raised her hand and asked, if your AI makes a mistake and flags a legitimate charge for denial, for example, who is responsible? Is it me? Is it your system? And what happens to my patients? And that question stopped the entire room. And honestly, it's right question to stop on.
True.
Right? So, because here's the thing, healthcare professionals have built their entire professional identity around judgment and expertise. Correct? They have learned through experience, through mistakes, through their hard work, and now you're asking them to trust an AI system that they don't fully understand. Okay, and it is going to its decisions that are going to affect their patients' lives and clinical outcomes. It's a big responsibility for all of us, because healthcare is a very, very sensitive area. And as you mentioned rightly, that creates skepticism, it creates fear. Sometimes it also creates anger. And it's all completely justified considering the sensitivity of the domain.
Absolutely.
So how did we handle this situation when the person asked up this question? So I told her that's exactly the right question, and the fact that you are asking it is why we are going to do this together, not to you but with you, and that's the exact solution. That we do it not for you, but we are going to do this together. And that one conversation changed everything about how do we approach their entire engagement. So at Citiustech, we have learned something that most vendors are still trying to figure out. Responsible AI isn't it a constraint on
Well
innovation? It is the foundation for scaling innovation. So
well said.
Think about it. If the best of your AI implementation fails, if clinicians don't trust it, they are never going to trust it, never going to use it, and it will fail. So this mindset changes everything how you are going to approach the problem. So when this healthcare organization came to us, they had a massive problem. They were processing millions of claims annually across multiple health systems, multiple payers, multiple service lines. Claims are getting denied, services are getting unbilled, revenue is leaking everywhere. The traditional answer could have been hire more people, because like you need to have some more control around it, but you can't hire your way out of this problem. They knew that AI can help, but they were terrified because of the sensitivity of the domain. And I don't say it lightly. The CFO was worried about cost overruns. Their compliance officer was worried about HIPAA violations. And the RCM VP was worried about introducing a system that her team wouldn't trust.
Right.
And the clinicians themselves, the billing specialists, the coding experts, they were skeptical too. Will this replace me? Will it make mistakes that will hurt my revenue? How will I know if it is doing the right thing? So a lot of questions in everybody's fair questions, all justified questions. So here how we started. Okay, we started with we didn't start with let's deploy our AI solution. We started with let's figure this out together. Right. So we didn't took our AI model and test it in isolation. We brought in their best claim coders, their denial specialist, their compliance team from day one. So I remember sitting in a room. We used to have frequent workshop with the client to figure it out. Not only with the client, but with the real operations team who was working on it. So one day we were sitting in a room with one of their senior coder, someone who has been doing this for more than 20 years. Okay, when we showed her how our AI prediction, how AI model is going to predict the claim, that could have been probably denied. Okay,
Right.
it is not only going to predict the claim, it is also going to find out a cause, not only find out the cause, take actions to correct it to prevent the future denial. Okay, so she will look at it and say this is good for regular or routine claims, but there are some edge cases and you are missing nuisance.
Right.
And these are the cases where a human has to decide. Okay, instead of saying no, my AI model knows best, or it will improve over the time. We were like, absolutely, you are absolutely right. So show us exactly which type of claims need human judgment, and
Right.
let's design the system to route these type of claims to you, so that you have a trust that the kind of complicated stuff is still coming to us for a validation.
Right.
So
Right.
we tested the AI solution, with thousands of their real claims. For
Right.
each recommendation, we compare it against what this expert and her team would do. We map where the AI excelled. That could be the routine coding, standard procedures, and where it fell short. Example, some complex multi-condition cases, edge cases, etc.
Right.
So
Right.
what we discovered together, again, I'm saying together because we just, did it together with their operations team, that AI
Right.
is great at 70% of the volume routine, straightforward claims. For 15% of the claim complex cases, human are better. And 15% where gray zone, where they need human reviews for confidence. So I would like to add one thing here, like since then, because the approach we took was taking their team together. So from the beginning, they understand how the system is built, the kind of transparency we are building, how we are going to take care of data privacy. And they understood, when we show them the architecture, they understood that we are not building a model that have privacy. We are building a model that will work with their system, their ecosystem, and we are building a privacy around their ecosystem. The
Right.
data is not moving out of their ecosystem. So that was the time where their compliance officer also started trusting us, because we build trust through transparency.
Right.
And since now it's like by month 12, I would say, something interesting happening. The team wasn't just using the AI, they are collaborating with it now.
Right.
What do I mean by they're collaborating with it? The senior coder would review an AI recommendation and think, okay, maybe this is close, but I would handle this edge case a little differently. She will overwrite it and the AI would learn.
Right.
The next month, when it saw a similar case, the AI is smarter. It is giving the coder a confidence. Okay, now the AI is actually handling the edge cases as well. And that's the beauty of feedback loop implemented. With the feedback,
Absolutely.
AI learns from the response received, either from a manual coder or a pair response, and handle it smartly next time. And we have a double advantage that the operation team started believing it more.
Right.
Our
Right.
RCM VP went from being skeptical to visionary. Now, she started asking, what else AI can handle for us? Can we add some denial management? Can we predict some more cases before we are actually submitting them? Can
Right.
your help me with some demographic information? And their compliance officer become biggest advocate internally, our biggest advocate. Why? Because we proved that you can move fast on AI and govern responsibly. They are the trade-offs, but these are the prerequisites for each other. So all good things. I would not say that we have all the good things to say. Yeah, we have some challenges that we are still figuring out. For example, as we were talking about rare events and edge cases. AI could be trained on common pattern and the data which has volume data. But what happens when you encounter something rare? How does the system know it's outside its confidence range and escalate to a human?
Right.
So you must define a confidence score and threshold for such a situation. I
Correct.
believe AI is still learning that, and it is evolving over the period. So exactly in the example that I gave, over the period with the feedback loop, it is learning. But at the beginning, the confidence score may be a little lower. And
Right.
another challenge that I see is real-time bias detection. We can audit for bias after the fact, but catching it in the real time while decisions are being made, that's harder. How do you stop the hallucination and drift real time? Later on, we can anytime find it and take preventive actions, but how do we stop it or recognize it real time?
Right.
And
Right.
one of the very important challenge that we have in healthcare is patient transparency.
Absolutely.
So we have dealt with like how the operations team or the healthcare to win the confidence of healthcare professionals. But what about patients? What kind of transparency you are keeping with your patients? So should patient know that their care actually involved AI? What will be their reaction? Should they opt or should they be opted out knowing that AI is being involved? Healthcare hasn't fully answered this yet, but and we are biased toward transparency because it is complicated.
Right. And it's a journey, right?
It's a journey.
The thing that you mentioned, that trust is also a journey.
Absolutely.
But I let's figure it out together. Yeah, that's one of the key things, as we talk about it. And again, we see that across the industries, we see that across the domains as well, with that feedback loop and so on. So thank you for that. And similarly on BFSI, again coming back to you, Paresh, on is there a where does the tension between AI innovation and regulatory explainability, risk requirements, become most visible from within the BFSI, side? Firstly, and our governance controls, when the technology was new and young, they were being added later on. So are now governance controls being designed upfront, or are they still being added after the AI use cases are deployed?
Yeah. So I'm audible?
Yes.
Okay. So BFSI is, as you know, very regulated. So there is always a conflict between what I can do, what I cannot, right?
Right.
And if you look at AI is basically talking about anomalies, statistic, where the regulatory body wants evidence and facts. So usually a black box for a regulatory authority. Take some examples if I talk about.
Right.
Let's take a loan example. If you are a new borrower, like, just an age of 23 and you're buying a loan, you don't have any credit history, right? But yes, AI will identify what best, lot of other factors it will put, parameters and give a credit score and say, oh yeah, he's eligible for this loan, or even talking about credit cards. Now the regulatory authorities say, how would you prove this, that you are giving this, that he doesn't have a credit history and you are giving a loan, so this becomes like a factor to explain again why, because AI works on different pattern and regulatory bodies work on evidence, right? And it's difficult to, so AI is like a black box and they want to kind of identify how this entire thing happened. That's what all explainable AI is all about.
Right.
Taking example of banks, like frauds, when you do fraud, there is a fraud detection, there are a lot of false positive also. Okay, it won't be that true that whatever is detected so accurate. So definitely again somebody may go to the court and file a case. I have not done this is legitimate. Okay, how do I prove this? Okay,
right.
So again there is something that we need to prove. Evidence becomes very important and the regulatory body will definitely question this, and the consumer or the person who is doing the transaction can also pretty much question it. Let's take example of this securities, right? People buy equities and mutual fund transactions, and today there are several algorithms available. left and right. Okay, somebody did a transaction, and then again you need to prove how it happened and how did it basically, buy this automatically, and why did it sold automatically. Okay, and they will need a justification. The consumer may not agree, and it may go through a regulatory body. Again, how do I explain this complex algorithm to the regulatory body? Okay, because these are some of the things which are very visible, which do come across in the BFSI industry. Very easy examples to talk about. But today, large private banks or even large public sector banks have matured their architecture. Usually BFSI is a very incremental thing. They adopt technology very fast, but at the same time, they want to know that they have to correct that, because so though that approach goes, then they correct their, okay, let me just, now the RBI has come with a new governance model, let me correct that model. So they again patch it and correct it. So this is how the industry usually works on practical basis. But lot of upfront engineering, which even Anthropic talks about a lot today. The job of the AI developer is really the architecture point of view. The level has so much grown up in terms of skill and productivity that you need to think about architecture. So we also develop a lot of enterprise operations for AI, right? And this is a fact that our architecture, we are proactively thinking about observability platform. Okay. Today, observability includes a lot of these factors which are very important to prove, whether it is, unalterable audit trails. I want to make sure all audit trails are captured. Okay. Who has taken the action, human in the loop, kill buttons, okay, where I can close a transaction, or talk about non-reputable, that I want to prove that it is the same guy who has done, and this is this, he cannot deny that he has done this transaction. So all that becomes very much like an upfront engineering, which is very popular now as a step. People are looking at forward engineers or upfront engineers, they call, who will kind of plan this well, architect this well before they actually build new solutions or new workflows. That am I covering all this governance aspect? Am I giving a clear answer to any legal or and showing that transparency in that? Okay,
right.
So that has become
forward deployed engineers.
Forward
one of the
engineers
terms.
or forward deployed engineers. You're right. It's the
Yeah.
same term. So that has become very much imperative, and that makes sure that whatever you are doing is well planned and designed, and governance has been in the center of that. Okay. So even our architecture, we have made sure that we cover the guardrails plus lot of things that I can prove to the customer that yes, this transaction was done this way, and I should be able to stop any exceptions that can come. Okay. So those things are there, and that makes it more explainable, more visible, and more justifiable to the regulatory authorities.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Paresh. And moving around back to you, Swapnil, around the enterprise productivity. So from your perspective, what needs to change, Swapnil? What needs to change in the operating model? Is it the job roles, performance metrics, how we calculate it, skills, or expectations? When AI is taking over parts of knowledge work rather than simply assisting the employees. What needs to change?
So if we talk 2-3 years back, the discussion was around how we can implement AI and make our employees' job better. Okay, so I can improve my person's productivity or job better. But with time and AI taking away a lot of tasks, now the question which is being asked is that, is there a need to redesign the entire job role itself? So there are few facets which we need to look at. The first and foremost is that the role of executor has to move from being an executor to orchestrator. Because what is happening now is, let's say for instance, apart from my day-to-day work, I also have 2-3 LLMs in which I frequently work. So if I have to produce some results with the help of these LLMs also, I have to kind of orchestrate. Let's say for one particular job role, if there is an analyst, before they used to do a lot of research, they used to do a lot of data cleansing, then documentation, a lot of things were involved. Now what is happening is a lot of these tasks are already being done by AI. So this particular person has to, first of all, obviously the productivity will go up, because obviously a lot of things are done, and then the qualitative aspect, which is more human at this stage, has to come up front. So that is one part which needs to be changed. Now the second thing is that I am seeing this trend very fast, and with our clients also, that this 8 hours things, and a lot of discussions also around this, but being more being more productive on your system, on your laptop, desktop, doesn't mean that you are efficient and you are producing right set of results. So what is going to happen over a period of time, and we are seeing that also, is that there are few organizations which are talking purely in terms of outcome, where the qualitative aspect is not being compromised. So that is one change which we are looking at, job roles. Now another challenging facts we are seeing is the role of manager. See, let's say for instance, I was a project manager for 15 years, and I have a certain time frame for a particular task with my past experience. Now that time frame has kind of shrunk. Now I have to, maybe I'm not aware about that still, and when I'm planning my sprints for my team, I am still giving them the time which I personally used to take to complete a particular module and all that. So this is becoming a little challenging for managers also, what to expect. Sometimes there'll be a set of employees who will come to managers, and managers will also be caught up with a surprise. Have you done it? Have you completed? And they say yes, it's been done. So to keep, and in that scenario, to keep the people more engaged, that is also becoming a little challenging. So
right.
If we look in totality in current days scenarios, I think there is going to be a tremendous shift in all the parameters which you mentioned, whether it is the skill set, whether it is the expectation of manager from their team members, whether it is the workflows which are and there has to be a lot of redesigning which has to happen. And thanks, we are doing that with our clients, and that is what we are doing, that we are giving this visibility, and we feel that with more and more such visibility, a lot of things can be taken. And as my co-panelists were already mentioning this, that once you start talking to your clients, or you start talking to the stakeholders, you get a lot of interesting insights and inputs. So I think that is what is happening. It is not one or two parameters, it is most of the parameters where change is going to happen.
True. What an incredible time to be alive, right? Yeah, with everything else, with everything going on across the domain. So I'm conscious of time. I would ask last couple of questions to all of you, and whoever would like to take it, and to give your quick answers around that. And this one is particularly close to our heart, close to my heart, because we started our AI journey as a company back in 2018, where not a lot of people were talking about AIs, and it's all about how do we translate the investments into their enterprise service management infrastructures into value. Yeah, how do we measure that? How do we make sure? So it's the question is also around that. So, across the sectors, many organizations have demonstrated the productivity gains in individual AI use cases, but then there are so many which still struggle to translate them into enterprise level value. So what is, from your perspective, the missing link between a successful AI use case, which can be a measurable business transformation or a measurable business outcome?
So I think one thing which which can be taken is that, this measurable outcome, sometimes I feel that, it is one-sided. That, top management feels that, certain things can be implemented and it will give results. If all the stakes are not taken into cognizance, because at the end of the day, there is a person in ground who is executing. So, and there the whole adoption also lies, irrespective of how much, you bring in AI, how much of, again, I began with the number of licenses. So I think we have to take into account everybody's view, and understand from people that how it is actually impacting their day-to-day work, where it is removing the friction, and obviously then the real measurable outcomes will come, because value is something which is very difficult to measure, to be very honest. And measuring that value at this point of time, I think my thought is it is going to take some more time. When we come to a level, maybe we have come to a level of cost, but coming to the level of value will take some more time.
Okay, cheaper, faster, better quality, and so on. Anyone else would like to have a quick response?
Yeah, Rishi. So I would like to add something.
Sure, please.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I will quickly summarize it with 3 reasons. Number one, when an AI solution is deployed to an organization, we are fixing the symptom, not the disease. For example, we deployed an AI solution to flag denials, but never asked why there were denials in the first place. Correct? So the real problems are something like bad data, unclear policies, workflow issues. They still stay unresolved or unsolved. So that could be one reason why we can just deploy the AI solution but not able to lead it to a transformation.
Yeah, treating the underlying not just the symptoms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 2, I would say that we are building an island, not a bridge, to resolve a solution. So when you are building an island, you are just at one place, you are not able to move ahead. So for example, the AI is sitting separate from how work actually happens. Someone has to manually implement recommendation. It's efficient in isolation, but cannot change the system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And number 3, we need to see how we can change the people, how the people work. A brilliant AI tool fails if your team doesn't adopt to it. Change management is a very, very important part of any kind of business transformation we want to build, and somehow it gets skipped because it's hard and slow.
So, well said, Paresh.
Yeah, I would like to add that in the BFSI specific, see, in BFSI world, it is very much measurable, okay? Because it's very transaction driven. And you talk about, doing underwriting, I want to make sure how fast I could do an underwriting. If I'm doing fraud detection, I want to know how much money I could save by detecting the right fraud, for example. So the measurement has changed from use case to complete process. That's a change that agentic AI architectures have brought, because now it is no more a bot. I would just measure, okay, how much ticket reduction I did. Okay. That was the basic ROI, which 2 years back, 3 years back, people did. But today's ROI is very different. It is directly business focused. What value am I getting out of this? Okay. Even if I am able to sell more, cross-sell more loans, okay, while somebody is coming on my website by taking next steps, identifying, helping the consumer to buy different things, get his problems answered, all that, then why not? So the ROI is measured very much on the business perspective, and that's the thinking that has made the entire agentic AI architecture very successful, because people now look at it as a kind of de facto standard for enterprise operations, making sure I look at the entire process, not just a use case. And if I am able to get an ROI of that process, so obviously the investment also grows. Every CIO wants to make sure this gets implemented in the lowest cost, for example, making sure I get the return very fast, ROI very fast. This is a common problem, but yes, I take this as a second level of digital transformation after those mobility, analytics, cloud, the SMAC that we talked 8 years back. I say it's just another next generation transformation, and this will happen. There is no option for people to do that. So that's why I see, because it's
Absolutely.
implementing directly on the processes. Processes are changing. Today, if you look at services industry also, the first thing people want an AI agent first, okay, if possible. Okay.
Yeah.
So you look at airlines. Okay, they are trying to say that you can't serve the passengers by human. It is very expensive today. But yes, first call is an AI agent trying to not just reply, but trying to address basic queries. Okay, and see what he can do before it gets into the human. So I feel the ROIs are definitely there. It depends on how you look at an entire process and look at the business value that you are getting out of it.
Absolutely. Same with the ESM world. The ROI is very much measurable, but industry to industry it changes. Avanti, do we have time for one last question, or would you like to take
just
some
one
other?
last question. After that, we can move over to the questions.
Sure. So I would request everyone to have a 30-second response, please, on this one. So this is about the leadership decisions as the organizations move from individual Gen AI tools towards AI embedding across the functions. What is one leadership decision that the leadership needs to get right now to scale responsibility without creating fragmented, ungoverned adoption?
So yeah, I would just take a first shot. It is again the same slogan: transform or perish. Okay, take it up as an entire transformation, digital transformation phase 2, and go ahead with the new agentic AI based solutions. Obviously, there will be challenges, but you have to use the right planning strategy to do that.
Thank you. Transform or perish. Anyone else would like to go for it?
I would say we need to invest in continuous monitoring. Once we have the agentic AI implementation, investment in continuous monitoring, bias detection, drift detection, performance monitoring is very important at the operations time. And this isn't it a one-time audit. It has to be a continuous process.
Well said. Thank you. Unless Swapnil, you have any other thing on this one? I can see him a little bit frozen on my screen, so maybe he will rejoin. But over to you, Avanti. There.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for being part of this panel. We'll just quickly go through some of the questions. So Paresh, there is a direct question for you. They're asking how credit worthiness is calculated for people for whom we don't have a lot of data or online footprints. Is there some other parameters we consider? I think you covered a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, because for these thin borrowers, that is what a industry term called. Definitely, there are a lot of other parameters today. A lot of other parameters include a lot of government parameters. Like today, you get Aadhaar card details online. Okay, so you get you have a PAN card or not. So a lot of other factors you can, because of digital records, government mandates. It helps you to kind of build more parameters to give the credit worthiness. Okay, and that helps basically analyzing this. And also social media plays a role now. Okay, because you can even identify a person's approach in the social media and identify if there is any challenge. So those things definitely determine the final score of the credit worthiness of a person. So there are more factors, more digital, more factors. That's what I say.
Okay, thank you. Swapnil, thank you for joining back. Did you want to answer Rishikesh's questions earlier? Otherwise, there's one specific question for you. We could do both.
I would answer a specific question if you have for me. I'll be able to.
So the question for you is: are there other good use cases in employee productivity beyond coding?
Yes. So as I mentioned, in all of the day, if we look at coding is just one part of it, because day-to-day processes, every department, like sir was already mentioning underwriting. So we have a lot of use cases wherein there is a quality team which kinds of understands that whether the entire, as per the compliance, all the processes are being followed, But now with the help of AI, those steps can be easily checked, and so it is also doing the work of quality control team, which kinds of sees that whether the underwriting process has was as compliant as it is supposed to be. Similarly, we are seeing a lot of use cases in marketing, a lot of use cases in sales. So it is not only the coding or vibe coding, but there are many more cases. I can keep on talking about them, but I also have the time in mind. So yes, definitely there are a lot more use cases.
Sure. I think okay. There's one specific question for Richa. How do orgs do mitigation after AI made a mistake which had earlier financial or regulatory repercussions?
Okay. So, as I was mentioning earlier as well, when any AI implementation is built or deployed, having all the stakeholders' confidence is very important. This is how we need to do. A proper data set is important, on top of which a proper testing could be performed. All good. But yes, there are always chances of hallucinations or drift, because of which there could be some mistake which may lead to financial or regulatory repercussions, right? So to mitigate this situation, as I was mentioning, that we need to have a proper auditing system in place. So the challenge that we have currently is how do we detect the real time bias detection? This is what I was talking earlier. But yes, the solution has to be to have a proper auditing trail where each and everything is audited and logged. So, for example, when there are changes happening, at which layer the changes are happening, who had done the changes, from where the changes are coming, and there should be a mechanism to roll back or fallback mechanism in place. So, when you are building an AI that can scale, that is a part to be considered while designing or architecting an AI solution.
Right. Thanks. So there's one more question. Maybe Rishikesh, if you'd like to take this. I work in the telecom domain in customer service. Saying getting an ROI is a challenge is an understatement. The spend is too much and measurable productivity improvement is small. Keen to know how the specific examples from other industries in customer experience and service domain.
So it's a great question. I'll try to summarize it. At the end of the day, as the fellow panelists also said, that you look at the things holistically. Yeah, you look at what are the business outcomes that you are trying to achieve using technology, and how do you measure it, right? And those gives you some very good baselines, right? Now, when we talk about enterprise service management, or there's dark data, there's data which is very structured, there is unstructured, and that's where AI can really be used to get those insights which are not very easily accessible apart, in the traditional technologies, right? But then again, at the end of the day, you look at what are the outcomes you are trying to achieve, and then you measure your investments, which gives you a very clear ROI picture that, hey, if I invest in this is what I would expect, or this is where we will get the biggest ROI return on our investments. Yeah, it's a much longer discussion, but I hope I've covered that in the given time frame.
Thanks, Rishikesh. Swapnil, I think this one question is probably for you. ROI on AI is still work in progress, as the hidden costs such as token-based pricing, underlying infra costs are changing by the day. So what are the trends in designing AI budgets and expected returns?
Biggest trend is asking people to come back. So this is we are seeing. We are seeing. So this is on the lighter side, but if I look at it, definitely, I think somebody said that the real adoption of artificial intelligence will start happening when the cost of token will get lower than the cost of salaries, and this is in near future. It doesn't look so far. What we have seen is that irrespective of the claim, no, there can be, maybe I will be talking on a different line, but the cost of energy and though many things which are coming up, we all hear that the ROI which are going to be analyzed. So what we do for our clients is that whatever tokens are getting consumed, against that we showcase the entire workflows and the tasks which are being accomplished. And there is a time and motion study which talks about how much ROI is being, how much tokens have been consumed to get a particular outcome. So that correlation can give a kind of ROI to the clients, but it will take time. Then still the costs are on a higher side. That is what I feel.
Can I quickly add to that, right? I think what also happens is, right hammer for the right nail, right? Just because we have a big hammer doesn't mean that we should take that. So a lot of places where AI is being trying to be implemented, do you really need AI or AI to that sophisticated levels? A lot of use cases I have come across are more handled better by runbooks or traditional automations. Of course, there are ones which will be much better handled by AI, but then horses for courses, as the Brits would say.
Very well said.
Yes. Yeah. So there's one question, Paresh, for you. Does the RBI's draft model governance framework reflect an overcautious approach and could create more friction in use of AI and deployment of third-party services?
Yes, so this is it is a balance act. Okay, RBI is also proactive in giving you opportunity to see how you can control frauds, those things, because they are very keen on making sure those things are well handled by AI also. At the same time, it is conscious, so it is playing a balancing act, and it is continuously improving their approach on how they can continuously bring in new policies, new AI governance. So it is more learnt over time, but definitely it has to be cautious. It's a regulatory body, so by default it will be cautious. But at the same time, because that where it comes to question of legality, justice, and making sure equality, unbiased approach, all these are concerned. So there are some fundamental things which obviously they will take care of as far as statutory needs are concerned. But at the same time, they are making the banks aware what they need to do in terms of controlling certain unreal transactions. So it is playing a balancing act, and I would say their job is to be forward looking but cautious. So that has to be there. It's
okay. Right. Although we do have a lot of questions, but I'm going to take the last question first because we've already overrun the time, because this looks a little interesting. If the Claude subscription is $20 per minute is doing everything, then why should I buy $1,000 worth of another AI application which is based on Anthropic API keys? Open to anybody who'd like to answer that.
What I have seen in Claude subscription is the moment I do some more work from it, it kind of stops, and then there is a time gap. So if let's say I'm doing something very important and half the way it stops telling me that okay, now you try after this time. So definitely I think the right already he mentioned that sometimes when you need hammer, then you have this $1,000 API, and when you have something very simple to do, then you have this $20 subscription. So generally this is what happens, because this $20 subscription has its own limits. So it is actually dependent on the kind of work you are going to do. If it is you are going to do a very simple work, then $20 subscription is, I think, more than sufficient.
Okay, good. Anybody else wants to weigh in?
Yeah, I would just add to what you said.
Yes.
Yeah, because when you are very clear what you are going to derive out of it, if you are just taking a cloud subscription, trying to build an application, it's not, it's not straightforward. The more the complex the application, the more difficult you are going to come with a lot of challenges. So it is a question of like a build and buy decision kind of things. If I'm getting $1,000 ready cloud application fully working to my expectations, my requirements, I might look at that. Okay. Rather than struggling and having a developer to keep again investing into the developer to try to do fix things. So it is all between the two. Okay. But yes, if you are very clear that you are looking for a clear application to do certain things and you are getting it ready, built by Claude, still it is useful because it is proven, probably somebody has used it, and it is as per your expectations. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. For the remaining questions, I will request the attendees to kindly email us at moomevents@nasscom.in. But anyways, we are now towards the end of the session, so I'd like to extend my gratitude to Rishikesh for moderating this discussion and for all the panelists to be here and answer all these questions for us. And a special thanks to our audience who has joined us today. We hope the discussion has proved useful for all of you. So with this, I will conclude this session, and this session recording will also be available on a YouTube channel after 2 working weeks. So you can refer to this discussion again. Thank you all for joining, and I will close this webinar. Thank you very much. Have a great day.